You look at your bank account, and then look at the rising cost of living, wondering how anyone ever actually gets ahead. It feels like you need to already be rich, holding a massive pile of cash, just to get a seat at the wealth-building table. You might think that starting with small amounts is pointless, a drop in the bucket that will never amount to financial freedom. But the truth is, the most powerful force in finance does not care about how much you start with, only when you begin. The secret to early wealth is not a lucky stock pick, an inheritance, or a six-figure starting salary. The real engine of financial independence is compound interest, and harnessing its exponential power is the most reliable path to securing your future. Today, we are demystifying this concept, breaking down exactly how your money can work harder than you do. You will learn how to turn modest, consistent contributions into a massive financial safety net, allowing you to build lasting wealth from the ground up. To understand why this works, we first have to redefine what it means to save. When most beginners think about saving, they picture putting cash in a jar or a basic checking account, where $10 today is still exactly $10 next year. But wealth is not built by merely hoarding cash. Wealth is built by putting your money to work in environments where it can multiply, taking advantage of the time value of money. This principle dictates that $1 in your hand today is worth more than $1 promised to you in the future because of its potential to grow. This brings us to the core mechanism of wealth creation. Compound interest is, simply put, the interest you earn on your initial money, plus the interest you earn on your accumulated interest. Imagine rolling a small snowball down a long, snow-covered hill. As it rolls, it picks up more snow, growing larger. As it gets larger, its surface area increases, allowing it to pick up even more snow at an increasingly faster rate. In the financial world, your initial investment is that first small snowball. The earnings you generate are the layers of snow added on top. During the first few years, the growth might look slow, almost invisible. But as time passes, those earnings start generating their own earnings, creating a staggering curve of exponential growth. This is the phenomenon that transforms ordinary people into millionaires over the course of a career. Let us look at a practical example of this exponential power in action. Imagine two friends, Sarah and David. Sarah starts investing just $200 a month at age 25, earning an average annual return of 8%. She stops contributing completely at age 35. Having put in a total of $24,000 out of her own pocket. She leaves that money alone to grow until she turns 65. David, on the other hand, waits until he is 35 to start. He also invests $200 a month at the exact same 8% return, but he keeps contributing every single month until he is 65. David invests a total of $72,000 of his own money over 30 years. Yet, at retirement, Sarah will have significantly more money than David, despite investing for only 10 years and contributing a third of what he did. How is that possible? Because Sarah gave her money a 10-year head start to compound. By the time David even began, Sarah's initial contributions were already generating their own substantial earnings. That early start allowed the mathematics of compounding to do the heavy lifting for her. This perfectly illustrates why waiting until you have a higher salary to start investing is one of the most expensive mistakes you can make. You might be wondering why you cannot just rely on a standard savings account to hold your money. The answer is a silent wealth destroyer called inflation. Inflation is the gradual increase in the price of goods and services over time, which decreases the purchasing power of your money. According to historical data from the Bureau of Labor Statistics, average inflation hovers around 3% annually. If your money is sitting under a mattress or in an account earning zero interest, you are actually losing wealth every single year. To outpace inflation and achieve true growth, you have to transition from a saver to an investor. But for beginners, the stock market can look like a chaotic casino. You hear stories of people losing everything on a single bad company or a speculative trend. This is where we need to introduce a foundational investing principle that removes the guesswork and the gambling from your strategy. You do not need to pick the next big tech stock to win the game. Instead, you can rely on an index fund. An index fund is a type of investment that pools your money to buy a little bit of every company in a specific financial market, like the top 500 companies in the United States. Rather than trying to find the needle in the haystack, an index fund simply buys the entire haystack. This approach is low cost, highly efficient, and historically provides consistent, reliable returns over long periods. By purchasing an index fund, you instantly achieve diversification. Diversification is the practice of spreading your investments around so that your exposure to any one type of asset is limited. If you put all your money into one company and that company fails, your wealth vanishes. But if you own a tiny piece of 500 different successful companies, the failure of one is easily absorbed by the success of the others. Another popular and highly accessible vehicle for this strategy is an ETF, or exchange-traded fund. An ETF functions very much like an index fund, tracking a broad market or specific sector, but it trades on the stock exchange throughout the day like a regular stock. Both index funds and ETFs are phenomenal tools for the everyday investor because they require very little starting capital and automatically apply that crucial principle of diversification. Now that you know what to invest in, you need to know where to hold these investments. Think of investment accounts as different types of buckets holding your money. Some buckets are taxed heavily, while others are protected by the government to encourage you to save for your future. Maximizing these tax-advantaged accounts is a critical step in accelerating your compound interest. If your employer offers a 401k, that should be your very first stop, especially if they offer a company match. A 401k is a retirement savings plan sponsored by an employer that lets you invest a piece of your paycheck before taxes are taken out. If your company matches your contribution up to a certain percentage, that is literally free money. Taking full advantage of a 401k match is the highest guaranteed return you will ever get on your investments. Beyond the workplace, you should look into an IRA, or individual retirement account. Specifically, a Roth IRA is one of the most powerful wealth-building tools available to young adults and new professionals. With a Roth IRA, you contribute money that you have already paid taxes on today. The massive benefit is that all the growth, all those years of compound interest, and all your future withdrawals in retirement are completely tax-free. Imagine the snowball we talked about earlier. If it grows into a massive avalanche of wealth inside a Roth IRA, the government cannot touch a single flake of that growth when you pull it out at retirement age. By combining the exponential growth of broad market index funds with the tax-shielding power of a Roth IRA, you create an unstoppable financial engine. Of course, the most common hurdle people face is finding the money to actually put into these accounts. It is easy to understand the math, but it is much harder to execute when rent is due, groceries are expensive, and life keeps happening. This is where practical, sustainable budgeting becomes the necessary foundation for everything else. You cannot invest what you do not keep. A highly effective and simple framework to gain control of your cash flow is the 50-30-20 rule. This budgeting method divides your after-tax income into 3 distinct categories. 50% goes to your absolute needs, like housing, utilities, and groceries. 30% is allocated for your wants, like dining out, entertainment, and hobbies. The final 20% is strictly dedicated to your savings, debt payoff, and investments. By aiming for that 20% target, you ensure that you are consistently feeding your investment accounts. If 20% feels impossible right now, that is completely fine. Start with 5% or even 1%. The goal is not immediate perfection, but immediate action. Establishing the habit of paying yourself first is far more important than the initial dollar amount. To make this habit bulletproof, you must automate the process. Human willpower is a finite resource, and if you have to manually transfer money into your IRA or brokerage account every month, you will eventually find an excuse to skip it. Set up an automatic transfer from your checking account to your investment account on the day you get paid. Treat this transfer like a non-negotiable bill, just like your rent or your phone payment. Once your automated system is running and your money is flowing into diversified index funds, your primary job is to do absolutely nothing. The psychology of wealth building is often the hardest part to master. The stock market will experience downturns, recessions will happen, and financial news networks will constantly broadcast panic and doom. Your greatest challenge will be resisting the urge to react. Remember that compound interest requires uninterrupted time to work its magic. When the market drops, it is not a signal to pull your money out and hide it in cash. In fact, for a long-term investor who is consistently contributing, a market downturn is effectively a massive discount sale on index funds. You are buying the same great assets at a lower price, setting yourself up for even greater exponential gains when the market inevitably recovers. The echoes of those early savings lessons still resonate here. That 50/30/20 rule still guides your spending, ensuring you always have capital to deploy, even when times are tough. Consistency, patience, and emotional discipline are the unsung heroes of personal finance. You do not need to outsmart Wall Street or predict the future. You just need to stay in the game long enough for the mathematics of compounding to take over. You now possess the blueprint for financial independence. The secret is out. You do not need to be wealthy to start, but you do need to start to become wealthy. By understanding the time value of money, prioritizing low-cost diversification, and letting your earnings generate their own earnings, you are taking control of your financial destiny. Your future self is depending on the decisions you make today, so start building that snowball, let it roll, and watch your early wealth become a lifelong reality.